Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The boys are back with another special guest. Come on, man. If you don't know this guy, I'm pretty sure you've seen his work throughout the WWE, the NFL. No, I've seen a couple people with like the names of Adam Thielen. You might have seen Cody Rhodes in his custom Air Force Ones on Monday night. We got the homie Mosh in the building, man. Come on now.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Happy to be here.
Welcome, man. Like
Yeah.
I was telling you before, I'm happy that you could pull up because you've been somebody I wanted on the show for years now, and we finally bridging the gap, making it happen. So thank you, man, once again.
Yeah, not for sure. Again, happy to be here. I'm always happy to chop it up with some good people. So, thanks for
Hell
having
yeah,
me.
of
Hell
course.
yeah. Listen, your work has been a staple in sports and footwear for years now. You've left your imprint, and we're here to give you your flowers and also like figure out, we got to ask the corny questions. How'd you start?
It's all
What
right.
what makes you want to do this every day,
Yeah,
How do you feel?
yeah.
How do you feel about panda dunks?
I painted two pairs today.
Oh,
So there you go. Yeah.
when did you transition from being like an artist on shoes to like a designer for shoes where you're like, oh, if this person is doing this thing, then this is the type of sneaker that they're gonna need? Or like, do you consider the sport or wrestling for the shoe type that you're gonna design on?
Um, Depends on the client. It depends on the person. Because
Mm,
dealing with Kofi, or like Rollins, they have specific shoes that they want to work on, and you learn that over time working with them of what they prefer. Like I remember
mm,
Kofi was telling me about how he was wearing those Grinch Reebok pumps that had like the big carbon fiber plate on the
yeah.
sole,
Mhm.
but he couldn't jump off the rope because it wasn't flat. So it had like a groove. So it was like this, and then it went up like this, and then it went like that. And it
Mm,
looked dope, and it was cool for the gimmick or for that day. But like to actually do functional, he's like, okay, these I can't wrestle in these. And
mm,
the same thing with Seth. Like that's why you see him always wearing CrossFit shoes because he just wants to wear flat shoes that are easy to kind of go around in. But yeah, that's just learning with people, and then some people will come to me with an idea, and I'll let them know if it's possible or not. I mean
mm,
and that's kind of my job is to they'll give me the vision and be like, all right, well, let's before I just say no, let's figure it out because because maybe I don't know, but they're coming to me. So like thankfully my network of people and resources is far reaching these days. So like if there's something that I don't know, I can definitely phone a friend or go to somebody and be like, hey, can we do this and do this? And it's worked out pretty well for 20 plus years. Thank
yeah,
God.
yeah.
So was the New Day or Kofi the first set of I guess athletes or wrestlers that you started to work with? Because you mentioned how Wale plugged you in with the New Day. So I'm
Yeah. So no, the first wrestlers I did stuff for was Nikki Bella was the first one I did them
Hmm.
Mm,
for. And it was funny because the way it all even started was I was doing a campaign for Seagram's Gin, and it was going through Dime magazine, which is like a basketball magazine. I don't even know if it's still around, but I was talking to this guy and I was watching the guy I was doing from the agency, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm watching the NBA playoffs and I'm watching WWE on my tablet. He's like, oh, you're into
mm,
wrestling? I'm like, yeah, yeah. He goes, I got a link with my boy Joe. He's a big sneakerhead. Joe at WWE. And I was like,
mm,
okay. So found out this guy Joe, his name Joe Quinn. He's not there anymore, but he was PR for WWE. Already was a fan of my work, knew who I was, all that stuff, and he knew Emilio even before I knew Emilio. Um,
mm,
and shout out to Wrestle Rap, and I remember he was like, we got to figure out a way to get you in with WWE somehow. So we're like, who wears sneakers in the ring? And at the time, Cena, but he was like, whatever. I was like, Total Divas was just getting big, and I was
mm.
like, oh, Nikki Bella wears sneakers, and he was like, all right, let me hit her up. This is like 2015, I would say. Whenever the first time SummerSlam was in Brooklyn, whenever year
Mhm.
that was.
yeah, 15.
Yeah, so he called her up and pitched her the idea that I wanted to do some custom shoes for her for SummerSlam. She was down. cool. Did the customs and stuff, and then they ended up having while Nikki and Bree were doing Total Divas and like PR, they came up to my studio and got the shoes. We're filming Total Divas in my studio, like my old studio. Like it's like an office building and cubicles, and she's in there and like I'm showing Nikki how to like take photos of shoes and do it. Totally, she had the Divas title, all this stuff. So, so yeah, we obviously clicked and had a friendship ever since. Like I've done a bunch of shoes for her, even now, like she still checks in. I remember like when I think when she was doing like America's Got Talent, she had me do another pair of shoes like randomly, and she's like showing me the baby and all this stuff. Like, so it's cool like to have people feel comfortable like that to just even share that side of life, and kind of like obviously she knows I'm a fan, but it's also like a
You
friend
maintain
kind
that
of.
connection still.
Yeah. So going back to more of the people, it started to be like more of a chain reaction of the girls first. So like after Nikki got her pair, then Sasha came. Well, Mercedes, and she wanted to do a pair for there was when WrestleMania in Dallas when they did the three-way with Charlotte and Becky, and we did the Eddie Guerrero shoes. So that was like her first WrestleMania. So we did stuff for her. And then I remember, God, I'm just trying to retrace my steps as it went through. I remember another time we went to another SummerSlam, and I remember like Alicia Fox took my wife hostage, and like because like brought her there. And she's like, "You're coming with me," and she like disappeared. And, like they were off doing whatever backstage, and I'm kind of walking around and catering like a lost puppy. I don't know what I was doing. And I remember just in the Barclays Center, just kind of like feeling out of place. I didn't really know everybody yet. I knew Nikki, but I obviously wasn't. I wasn't free to walk around yet. I still needed my chaperone. My boy Joe. But then, as more time went on, then Wale hit me up to do some New Day shoes for Kofi Woods and E, and we did like some Pumas for Woods. We did. I don't remember what we did for Kofi. I don't remember. And then because it was an every blue moon collaboration thing, and we did a pair of like Reebok lifting shoes for E. And I remember we did them all, and they liked them. But then Kofi had reached out on his own and thanked me for doing his stuff. And then we just kind of kept the dialogue open. And Kofi was hitting me for random ideas. Like I remember like the LeBrons for SummerSlam with the horn on the toe. He had me do those, and he was like, can we do this? And again, it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, we're gonna find out if we can do this. And that we did that, and then we every WrestleMania for a while we were doing all those shoes. I mean, obviously when he won the title, that was a whole other big thing, with the Basquiat stuff. And still to this day, even with him and his crazy beard and no mustache he got going on now,
It's his
looking like
Dominican look right now.
looking like the bad guy from Belly, like something like that. Like I don't know. It's cool, and it's funny because like obviously like I'll talk to the guys like, and they'll tell me when they're turning or they're doing stuff because they're changing their persona. I remember like when like back in the day when like the Usos were going heel at one point, and I remember Josh was hitting me. He was like, "Yeah, we're gonna be bad guys now. We're gonna wear Air Forces and we're gonna do this stuff and wear streetwear." I'm like, "Okay." So we're doing Air Forces for them, and like, so it's cool to have that inside scoop on stuff. Like, I never ask as a fan because I never want to just be a fan, even though I am.
Yeah.
But like, like I'm just. Oh, I'm trying to think of other people I've been really close with. Finn Balor is like one of my best friends out of all of them. I've gone to bars with him. He's told me things like gone to soccer matches with him, and like when he was dating Kathy Kelly at the time, we were all hanging out. Like it was a fun time. It was and he's been a great friend ever since. Still like helping him move and do all the like I got some good stories with him
That's
too.
real friend activities right
Yeah,
there.
it really is. It
Helping
really
somebody
is.
move is the highest form of friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he lived in Brooklyn for like a hot second. He loved it up here, and then he went back down to Florida. But
What a vibe change.
yeah, but it was cool for a hot second. He was definitely in the hipster side of Brooklyn, but it was still
He
cool.
was.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that seems like his vibe,
Yeah,
like
for and Flatbush. Come on, man.
yeah. When you button your buttons on your polos to the top, You're gonna live in that side of Brooklyn right there.
He's always an Irish boy, man. No matter
Yes.
what, he's no matter what. So
So, so I got a question. So, how long does it take to make these shoes? 'Cause I got to. It's like it's got to be like getting a suit tailored, right? It's like, all right, well, you take measurements, you pick the suit, you pick the fabrics and all that, or the design. How long does it take to, I guess, customize the shoe? Then I guess you got to send it back to them, see if it works, then get it back. Like, what's the process? And how long does it take?
it depends on the ask. I mean, a lot of times, like I'm for the most part, I'm paint. I'm just doing paint and stuff like that. I mean, obviously we can do that stuff, but for these turnarounds, like I'm very realistic with them. Like I'm not gonna oversell them on things. I'd rather under promote than anything. So like if
Mhm.
I can make it happen, then they're shocked. But I work very close with Surat. Does the gear for a lot of them,
Mhm.
and he'll show me swatches of like of what he's working on. Say like he was doing, when Finn was wearing kick pads and whatever, or he'd show me like what pants he's doing. We're gonna try and match this, and I remember like when Finn was telling me that they're going away from the purple for Judgment Day because they want to go stick to more with Rhea and Damien for the purple, and then
Mhm.
he's kind of doing like the black and white stuff you see like with Dom and all them. They kind of went away from purple. So like those kind of things, like changing on the fly. 'Cause I remember doing a pair that already had purple on them. We had to switch them up because Hunter wanted to kind of go away from that. But that's kind of like what's a good asset for them is the fact that I can kind of work quickly. Like I am pretty efficient. I can bang out something in a couple hours, but then
Mhm.
some things that are more intricate can take a couple days. But again, you kind of just have to be on call and have that bat phone ready at all times. You never know.
So
Because it
is it you doing all of this, or is there a bigger team now that you've been doing it for so long?
I'm the main guy. I have one other guy, Rob, that helps me with a lot of prep and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But like any of the high detail stuff, it's always me because my name's on the board.
Mhm.
So I'm not Andy Warhol yet. I'm not getting
Yeah.
people just stamping my thing on there. So even if I have him like working on doing like say like base colors and stuff, like I got to go back and make sure that my zhuzh is on it and make sure it's right. And pass my stuff. And it always is the point that no one's ever going to care as much about it
Mhm.
than me because it's my product. So even if I do outsource something, it's gonna be, I'm hands on for everything that I can do. And then if there's
Mhm.
something that I can't do, like I said, I know where my strengths are and things that are not my strengths. So
Mhm.
I'm never too shy to reach out to someone who might know better to help me out. And obviously, when it is a collaboration, we get a little credit to them because, it's a team effort. But for the most part, it's always me, and that's kind of a pride thing. It's also a bit of an ego thing. It's a little bit of both. Because I built relationships. I'm the one that built all these things. Like I
Mhm.
have people come in all the time that will ask me like, "Oh, can you put me on to do shoes for so and so and so and so?" And it's like I did all this myself. I'm like, I'm not just gonna put you on. And I was like, no disrespect to that. I was like, go and do it. But I was like, I'm so big on loyalty. Like if I
Mhm.
work with these guys, like I expect them to always come to me because I built that bond, that relationship, that whatever.
Mm.
Like if you're rocking with me, I will run through a wall to make something happen for you. But as soon as I feel like there's a loyalty that isn't there, you're kind of shopping around,
Mhm.
then I'm not answering that call at 1 a.m. You know what I mean? Because you kind of broke
Very
that for me.
respectable. Uh,
Yeah, like and obviously not like I'm like some jealous ex-girlfriend or anything like that, but it's like, I just value relationships because I think
mhm.
that's what's gotten me so far is cultivating and genuinely caring about the people I work with. And when
Mhm.
people respect that from me, then it's the best feeling you can get.
Mhm.
I want to know what's the easiest shoe to, I guess, customize or paint? Because in my head, I feel like it's either an Air Force One or a Timberland, just because I feel like,
Tim's.
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
feel like those two are like blank canvases basically, where it's like, all right, I just got an all white shoe. I could do whatever I want with this, and you
Mhm.
just go from there. And the same
yeah,
with them, it's a blank canvas basically.
Yeah, so Air Forces, Jordan ones. I'm so happy that all the girls embraced the Jordan ones as much as they
Mhm.
did because they all want Jordan ones. Like I remember like it was like the I'm the sneaker girl starter pack. Like Carmella getting the ones, Britt Baker getting the ones, uh, Becky getting the ones,
Mhm.
and and I really put Becky in the sneaker world like that. Like she
Mhm.
she was not about it. Like I mean she wore like Air Forces and stuff, but like I remember I did these like Pearl Jam colored like once for her, and she was just like,
She loves
this
Persian.
is crazy. And then she started getting known for having the customs, and we were going heavy for a while
Mm.
with the custom stuff. But yeah, that's the easiest one. It's funny you said blank canvas because I did a colorway of my runner that was called the blank canvas, and it was just an
Mhm.
all white runner that and the leather was made so it was easy to prep. So people that customize like myself, when you're doing Air Force One, you got to acetone and take the top off the shoe to kind of have the paint adhere to it.
Mhm.
But it's that fake leather, so it's like you got to not just acetone, you got to do sandpaper, you got to get all
Wow.
this stuff to get all this crap off to get down to the bottom of it. So when we did the blank canvas, that was based for people like me. You literally can take a cotton swab of acetone and the layer comes off. It's so easy to prep. So
That's
like it
fire.
was, yeah. So even though I had it come with a paint set with with the shoes. It was dope. We dropped them at Complex Con years ago, but it was
Your
dope.
sneakers, not because you're on here, but they're actually fire. Like I was looking at the Jaspers and I was like, nah,
I
these are
appreciate
actually
it.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came from that colorway. Obviously, came. I mean, you know what it came from, but the
Yeah.
Louis stuff. But the fruition of it was actually a mistake because the first colorway of the Promenade, that first casual one,
Mm.
was supposed to be like an off-white gum bottom one. And when the factory made the upper, like I made the sample, which was great, it looked dope,
Mm.
whatever. But then when we placed the order to actually get the production shoes made, the leather was like tan. And I was like, this isn't what I have shown people. I was like, what are we gonna do? So we had all these uppers made, and I was
Mm.
like, looking at it, I was like, it'd be dope to like put like to put that a pink bottom like the Louis Jasper. I was like, that'd be
Mhm.
dope. I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's run it. And it worked, thank God. It was one of those happy mistakes like Bob
Yeah.
Ross. It just
Yeah.
happened.
Listen, man. I mean, I'm looking at them now. That is a great mistake to happen where you could just, turn and pivot and go, you
Yeah,
know what? Instead of what we were originally gonna do, let's make some new fire out of it. And
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
And that's
you
the
still
joy of
have
being
that
the
other idea in the tuck. So it's like,
oh yeah.
birth too.
Well, yeah, well we dropped the initial one first. Like
Mm.
we went back and made the other one. So we
Mm.
had both. But now we had two colorways, which is
Yeah.
dope. And it was just more options. And and again, like we're doing the brand stuff like the runners, and like I'm dropping my next runner beginning of the month,
Mm.
the first release of 2025. And I was saying before that it's like running two businesses. You're doing the
Yeah.
customs and then you're doing the shoes. Like it's two different things, and it's like you take off one hat, put another one on. Like, okay, I got to be the painter today. I
Mm.
know I got to be a designer today. I got to be the marketing guy today. And like
Yeah.
it's I'm not complaining. Like I said, like I'd rather be doing that for myself as opposed to some other brand or some other company or whatever. Like having so many different jobs and dealing with other people's headaches. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
want to deal with my own headaches. You know what I mean? Like at least they're my own. So I'm blessed for that. But I appreciate the feedback because again, like people have embraced the shoes, and again I was saying earlier before you got on, it's a good time to be an independent designer because people are more open to that as opposed to just wanting to wear Jordans. Like people aren't wearing Jordans like that anymore. Like
Mhm.
that. They're open. They're wearing freaking Asics and New
Yeah.
Balances and all that stuff. And like I can't even tell you how many pairs of Cayenos I have. Like or like Vomeros and like it's all about comfort. No, I don't even care if you're 45 years old like me or you're 25. Comfort. You
Mm.
kids are wearing Crocs like casually to the
Yeah.
gym.
Listen,
What,
that's my go-to. The Croc is the most.
bro?
The brain is off when I put them on. Don't have to worry about how my fit looks. The Croc is on. It don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
My wife hates it, but yeah,
Listen, the
yeah.
Salehis, they kind of go crazy. I like them.
I got
They
one pair. I got a pair. I got a pair of the Junipers, and then I
Mhm.
got a pair of his regular Croc
Yeah.
things.
As far as that bucket list things go, like you want to open your store, open your own spot.
No, no brick and mortar. I'm good.
I'm gonna say brick and mortars are dead.
I
I
do
feel like
not.
in 2025, the brick and mortar experience is kind of gone. Like I can't remember the last time I went into a store, try some shoes on.
Yeah,
I know
I
my
mean,
size, just give me the damn shoes.
yeah, I mean, excluding Kith is like a destination for
Mhm.
out of towners. I
Mhm.
mean, in any city or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I do know that the mall experience is starting to kind of come back again. I don't know how
Mhm.
or why. I mean, sneaker stores, I don't think so. I just think you go into a Foot Locker or JD Sports. I think JD Sports is probably the best chain out now,
Mhm.
like doing still
Yeah,
putting
basically.
stuff out. and whatever. But I mean, shouts to Foot Locker because they put me on and we had some cool collaborations.
Yeah, yeah.
But I did stuff with Finish Line too. I did stuff with Quavo,
Mm.
and became friends with Quavo through that. Who would have thought the kid from the trailer park would be friends with Quavo? You know, and like he's FaceTiming me. Like I remember me and my wife were like watching like Bravo, and Quavo just FaceTimes me because he's like, Mock. He always called me Mock. Now he knows Mosh, but for a while he called me Mock. I'm like, yo. He's like, you know what time it is? I'm like, I don't. And but we were doing stuff for like NBA All Star or whatever
Yeah.
it was, and yeah, it's just cool. Like I don't know, like it's one of those like pinch me kind of deals. Like I'm jumping all around, so I apologize, but like I'm
No.
just having
I
like
appreciate it.
experiences pop in my head. I remember I did a pop up in Vegas the year that SummerSlam was there at Urban Necessities, and Westside did his fourth rope thing with me too. So we both had our pop ups
Mhm.
together, and like obviously I had known Wes years back. I met him one of the Wally Manias, and we became cool and whatever. And like obviously I'm not texting him every day and shit like that, but we're cool. So he came through and I gave him a pair of my shoes, and he was just like, he's like, you know, how's it feel? I'm like, oh, you know, we're selling good. He goes, no. He goes, how does it feel? Like, how does it feel to have this happen and do that? Like,
Mhm.
and like those like deeper questions. I was like, that's why I kind of put that like the same wavelength as Wale, because it's like there's like a higher thing to it than just like, yeah, I'm selling mad shit and you know people like myself. Like, no, how do you feel doing this? Like, what's the feel of what's the word? Not gratitude, but like accomplishment and whatever. Because
Yeah.
he was proud of what he was doing, and you know I was obviously proud of what I was doing. And then we were trying to figure out how we're going to get to the damn arena to go to SummerSlam, because our things were ending like right before. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's like, I'm taking 2 Chainz to his first wrestling event, and we don't know how we're going to get here yet. So like, he was like, I'm just going to have my people clean up. I'm not even going to do anything. I'm leaving. I'm like, all right. So we end
Yeah.
up going
I
there.
mean, he gets that pass because he's the rapper, so it's like, yeah, just walk off. But then, like you're sitting there, you're like, damn, like it's kind
I
of a
gotta
small
break all this
team.
shit down.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I mean, thankfully, the JC who's not whatever necessities anymore, he had his
Mm.
team take care of me too. So I was like, oh,
Mm.
thank God, because I was like, oh man, I was like, I'm gonna miss the first couple matches. This is gonna be how it is. And it was my first time going to that stadium too, the
Mm.
new Allegiant Stadium. So I didn't even know how I was gonna get there. I mean, Uber
How
in
is
and
that?
whatever.
I
It's
hear it's
dope.
like a
It's
fucking spaceship.
it's dope. I still prefer my Viking Stadium over that
Mm.
one, but it's dope. It's very dope. It's like it was funny because that was one of their first events at the stadium since that opened,
Mhm.
and the Wi-Fi went out.
Ah.
So all the concessions they couldn't ring anybody up, so everyone was getting free shit. And
Oh.
yeah, it was like all the beer, like the beers and stuff. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was something, but it
Oh
was it
yeah.
was dope. And what was actually funny was I was um I was at the hotel and I remember I was texting Becky. I'm like, yo, I'm like, are you in town? And she goes, no, why? And I was like, oh, because I got a pop up. You know, I wanted you to come through. You know, if you were in town for the show.
Mm.
And she's like, oh, no, no, I'm not. Um so okay, event came by. Then she came out, and when she beat Bianca in like 5 seconds or whatever,
Oh
and she
yeah,
comes
yeah.
out, but then she sees me and she points at me. She goes, "I got you," because I was like,
I
you
just
said you were,
texted you 10
and then
minutes
she
ago.
and then she texts me. She goes, technically I wasn't in town. I was on a plane when you were texting me. I was like, oh, all right, and it was pretty funny that for one she even saw me there, but pretty funny. But I know you guys interviewed her, so that's just she's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I try to put her on to the Bronx Zoo and New York Staples, Orchard Beach. Let her
Hmm.
know that, the New York has a lot to offer it. Because I think she was talking about moving to New York or something like that, or looking for new places to stay. And I was like, oh, the Bronx
Yeah,
is the place to be.
yeah, she gets tired of Iowa. I
Yeah.
know they still got their spot in California too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now I know you're a Viking fan. I feel like you've mentioned the Vikings a couple times.
I believe I have Randy Moss tatted on my thigh, man.
Oh, I
Yeah,
was about to say, like, what made you a Viking fan? But obviously, you've been one.
my dad was a Vikings fan, and my mom's a
Mm.
Bills fan. So it's like, what team do you want me miserable rooting for your whole life? and I chose purple. My mom's a miserable Bills fan, so
I mean, a bunch of Super Bowls in a row, not
bro,
too
how do
not
you
too
lose
bad.
four? How do you lose four in a row?
I feel
Like,
like that's more impressive than winning one.
yeah. Well,
Losing four in a row.
you know what I say is like the painful part of being a Vikings fan is the fact is like that we have like I think we're at like a top 5 winning percentage
Mhm.
overall, like, but no Super Bowls.
Yeah.
But like I think if you just sucked all the time, it'd be like okay, you're used to it. But like to get so close all so many times and just 98 and '06 and don't get started. Yeah.
Yeah. The Minneapolis Miracle. That was I remember watching that game live and on TV, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, nah, this Vikings team is a problem.
Yeah,
But
I was there. I was there for
oh
that. And it was so dope. And then I went to Philly for the NFC Championship and I was already halfway up the Jersey Turnpike in the fourth quarter. Cuz I was like there is no way I'm going to be here when these animals win this game.
yeah.
I was so dejected. But
Well, don't worry. Eve is a Jets fan, so
I know pain,
man,
but
hey,
he knows pain worse.
yeah.
yeah, it's rough, but shout out to Tyler Conklin, my boy. That's another former Viking
Yeah,
that's in Minnesota.
couple dogs.
Um
Tyler.
trying to think. Oh, one thing I wanted to touch on, we talk, kind of talking about wrestling and stuff,
Mm,
is doing the shoes for Swerve too.
mm,
We did the high top promenades for him,
mhm.
and that was like his own little special makeup. Like I knew Flash Garments years ago. Um, when he must have been a teenager when I first met him because he's still young as hell. But
Mhm.
I knew him, and he was starting to do this stuff with Swerve, and I knew Swerve from NXT. And actually, my gym that I train at for lifting is the 3D Academy.
Oh,
So there's if you ever seen like my workout things, you'll see the ring in the background.
mm,
And but the guy that owns the gym's another indie wrestler, and him and Tommy Dreamer, and I never see Bully Ray ever, um but they're there. But he's good friends with Nana and Swerve, and
mm,
so ended up connecting with Swerve and kind of talking about how they wanted to do something. Obviously, he was way over at the time before he got the title and stuff,
mhm,
and he wanted to do a shoe. And I guess and Flash had an idea to do something, and he saw something. So I designed a high top version of it just to have something for him to wear, and it
mhm,
had like ballistic nylon and 3M and all this different stuff. And he won the title in those with the green bottoms on them,
mhm.
and we were gonna drop them, but it's just a lot of red tape and stuff going through
Ah,
AEW and whatever. So
Yeah.
it was like we have pairs like friends and family pairs and
mhm,
whatever. But hopefully at some point it goes into something there because Swerve's awesome. Like I end up being really cool with him. And we talk a lot of shit during Sundays because he's a
mhm.
Rams fan,
Yeah.
and well that's what you understand. Like they get the whole whose house thing is from the Rams because they say whose house and it's the
Mhm.
Rams.
Wait,
So.
so the sneakers that he gave to like Tony Khan, like during that whole era, those are the ones you're talking about?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. Yep. So,
that. So I wonder. That's one of those questions where it's like, why wouldn't they want to put those out? Promote
because
the W
I
sneakers in situations.
I know some other things that are happening with them,
Mhm.
so
Uh,
that's why.
there you go.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why. But it's been awesome again. A good
Mm,
good friendship with him, and just
mm,
the banter. Like I went to the playoff game in Arizona for the
mhm.
Rams and the Vikings, and
Wow.
I texted him like we can still be friends once it's over. I'm like, but but he's a good shit talker.
Oh yeah. Yo, Mosh, before we get out of here, I want to do this thing that we usually we ever since we had Chris Van Vliet on the show, we end like everything like this now, where
Hmm.
we go around and we say something we're grateful for. We're completely jacking Chris Van Vliet swag, but
It's all
it's
right.
okay because why not?
Yeah.
So let's start with you, Mosh. What is something you're grateful for? Matter of fact, let's start with Manny and then with Mosh.
Okay. Yeah, let me
Mm.
think.
I'm grateful for the amount of time that I have now. I get to do a lot of reflecting before going back into the job searching field. So, getting a little break from being a creative, kind of
Mm.
fun. A very underrated experience, even though it's only been 3 days.
You get to give your brain a rest.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's something about being unemployed with a Nissan Altima that makes me feel like the world is my oyster.
Yeah, what's one thing I'm grateful for? aside from life and opportunity, man, I'm grateful for friends and family, man. A good support system. I'll say that. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of good people behind us. You know, a lot of people that support what we do. So I'm very grateful for that.
I'm grateful for my wife, man. I really am. I just am. I think I'm difficult to deal with because I am stressed a lot, and she rides through it, and she does her best to kind of know when to not bother me and ask me too many questions, but also know when to ask me what I'm thinking. And she
Mm.
motivates me and she keeps me grounded. Definitely keeps me grounded. You know, if I'm off doing all this cool celebrity shit, and she's like, "Oh, that's cool, Mosh. There's garbage to take out." You know, keeps me humble, but it just keeps me on my toes. Yeah, I could definitely say without any exaggeration, I wouldn't be here without her. So I'm grateful for her, but I'm also grateful for other people too. But
Mhm.
her first. And
Yeah,
happy
definitely.
birthday to her on Saturday.
Happy
Yes, by the
birthday to
time
your
this comes
wife.
out, probably it would have already happened. So
All
happy
right.
birthday to her for sure.
Happy
Happy birthday.
belated.
Yeah, belated.
Yeah. And thankful for you guys. I'm appreciative of you guys having me on the show and letting me ramble for 2 hours. It's crazy. So I appreciate
Listen,
it.
we were here for it. It's a great story. Thank you.
Hey, man, an entrepreneur, a gas pitcher. You know what I'm saying? An artist, a damn DJ. Am I missing anything?
I don't know. Fly planes? No, I don't fly. I don't fly planes. I'm not a pilot.
A
Not
dad, a
No,
yet.
husband, a
I
friend.
yeah, that's about it, man. And the thing is, like, what one of my friends like says how boring I am because like my personality is kind of like I'm very even keeled all the time, but I
Mm,
just find fun. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like I'm not exactly fun. Like I'm just chilling. I'm just watching TV. But like I'll be around a lot of fun people and whatever.
yeah.
My boy always says that my wife's the fun one and I'm the boring one. So whatever.
That you kind of need that duality. You feel me? You gotta.
Oh yeah, if it was two of me, it'd be snooze fest all the time. If it was her all the time, no, the house would implode. So you know,
Yeah.
it's a good balance. I think even with friend groups, everyone has their role and what they do.
Hmm.
You know, I got the one who's always the Paul Heyman, always talking. Like they always joke that like I'm the Brock, my boy's the Paul Heyman, always talking. And yeah, that's about it.
Hell yeah,
Man,
man.
before we close, Mosh, please let the people know where they can find you. Uh, Obviously they know what you do now. But yeah, let them know where they can find you, your shoes, everything.
Yeah, the Instagram and Twitter's Mosh275, Mache 275. It's not Mache, it's Mosh, like a mosh pit.
No, I'm not gonna
Um,
hold you. I thought you were Puerto Rican when I first seen
oh yeah?
yeah. When I first saw your Instagram years ago, I was like, oh, shout out to Mache. You know,
Oh
you got a
hey,
Puerto Rican guy making sneakers or whatever.
hey! Shout out to my Boricuas and shout out to the homeland.
There you
Uh, nah, bro, I love Puerto Rico. Shout out to Lindor and Bad Bunny and all them.
there you go.
Nah, but yeah, I'm Irish and Scandinavian. I got some Viking in me. I get a little tan though. You know, catch me in the summer maybe with a good lineup.
Orchard Beach, City Island.
Yeah, you won't catch me there, but
Oh,
yeah.